of a sudden. I don't know why. That's so
Yes,
weird.
we'll get in our flow together, Megan. Don't worry.
Yes. So I'm just going to tell you, I'm just going to be myself. So I, the day the Salon Scale messaged me, I think they like you guys sent me like a little hi or something. You would have thought that I like won the lottery or whatever. And I called Ashley and she's like in another meeting and I call Morgan and I call Brett. No, nobody could talk to me or whatever. It was the email. It was about the email about being on your podcast. I had to tell somebody, but it was like meeting a famous person, honestly.
Oh,
This day, it means so much to me because honestly, I can get very emotional about it. You saved not only my salon that I am so passionate about, but 20 of my employees that a lot of them are it's their second job and they're moms and there's some that really count on that money and it's just what SalonScale has done is just, it's been incredible. And thank you so much. Thank you for all your hard work and your grit. Like I've listened to different podcasts and stories, and I'm just like, I've got to talk to her and just, I understand like you were renovating and it just like light bulb moment. And it's like, aha. So what was your first step after that? Like when you realized I now know what to do.
yeah. I want to say too, thank you. It means a lot to hear like the impact that comes from it. And you're so right in the taking this chance and jumping into this journey and this venture. That moment I saw exactly, I remember looking at our first MVP, we call it, so minimum viable product. So the first time I put a whole bunch of pens on a scale and it told me what that cost in Olaplex, I had this huge change. It felt like I could feel it through my body of this is going to change the industry. And even at that point, I didn't know how it would change yet because I never understood how to develop a full app and bring it to market and do all that stuff. But I just knew that like this would change and help a lot of salon owners like me. So to hear you say that to me, it just is such a validation to the work that we've done over the last 8 years here at SalonScale. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And I'll say that the steps really honestly are that I think sometimes it's like life and timing and experience, it all comes together and it's the choices that you make that make those next steps. And I was renovating the salon. I had always thought about areas that I could fix in the business, but it was the renovating, it was the mixing of the paint and thinking, oh, we should just have a machine that does this. Not fully even knowing why I'd want a machine, but I knew waste maybe was an issue or this was essentially that was the issue. And then we got frozen yogurt as a family. And that's when all of us put our different bowls on the scale and it said a different price because we had different ingredients. And it just instantly hit me. And as I continued to come back to the thought of, okay, if we make this like machine, I just kept saying the phrase, like, it just wouldn't scale. It just won't scale. You can't build a machine and send it all over. And then I stopped and I was like, holy shit, it's the scale. It's the scale. We are already doing what we already need to do. We're already measuring on a scale. Usually, most of us are mixing off a scale. And so I just saw it at the frozen yogurt store that you just need a software, you need technology to be able to measure what that cost was. And so I jumped as fast as I can. I think it literally was within the first week, I already had the name SalonScale, found the domain, found a third-party builder, and then built that first MVP. And it was intimidating going into a room with a bunch of designers and developers and explaining. I think I brought a bucket of my backbar basically and was like mixing in front of everyone, be like, this is how we make a color and we need it by this category and this is how the process works. And so when we developed that, it took a few months until I got to experience that in the first time. And like I said, that moment that I saw it, I just knew that this was the knowingness. This is the numbers that I needed to know. This was the thing that was really affecting my business. And so that kind of was the step, was let's figure that out, the next steps, and let's take this to market.
And it went from there.
Yes, I ended up getting into a local accelerator. So this is like a kind of tech incubator or a hub where they teach you things like how to raise capital for your startup, how to build a technology company essentially, and how to really take it to market. Because I've been running a salon for 10 years, so I'm used to more of a local kind of market. But now selling something globally, it's what do we need to do to invest and who to hire, what type of developer do I need, or what type of structure do I need. So those are the things that I got out of this accelerator. And the funny thing was that the way that the cohorts go is like you at the end of the cohort, you have a competition, and 6 of us made it to the finale, and I was one of them. And I'm up against all these other tech companies that are doing like crazy technology, and I'm the only one in the beauty industry, the only female, and the only non-technical founder. And I won the entire competition, and I won a $15,000 check. And it was a validation that even though I knew this would change for the salon industry, I had that internal feeling. I had external validation now of other sectors and other investors saying, yes, like this has some legs. You need to jump.
Yeah. First of all, thank you. Thank you for not letting that type of industry scare you or intimidate you, because I feel like all of us stylists for so many years just feel like we're not smart enough, and like, why me? Like, why are they going to listen to me? You could just still be sitting back at home and Sasquatch.
Yeah. Saskatchewan. Yeah.
There we go. And still be thinking about it. But you took that chance. It was probably like now or never. It was so obvious. And that to me is why I admire you so much. Yes, I admire you that you made it and stuff, but knowing you as a stylist and how stylists think and how they perceive themselves, thanks for not giving up on us. Seriously, that's
Oh,
so
I
awesome. I love that story.
I think about the industry often because I lived in every seat. From a stylist, I was a solopreneur for a while and then ran a salon. So I've lived in many aspects of the industry. And now, whenever I'm pitching for capital or presenting the next strategy for the next year, whatever it is, it's like I think about that voice of all these individuals that I'm impacting every single day, and it does give me a lot of pride. I'll be honest. It
My
gives me a lot
God.
of pride to be a voice in a lot of those rooms and step up where it almost becomes actually it's funny because there's a lot of challenging. There's a lot of times people will be like, is that even really a big problem? Or how is this? You will get a lot of kind of pushback a little bit, but the courage and the confidence comes from knowing those that I'm impacting and the voice matters to me. So I have to represent all of us. And so that definitely fuels me every time I'm
Yeah.
continuing to pave the way over here. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know for like me, this year, not only introducing SalonScale to the girls and then implementing it, and we introduced a head spa, so that's new to us. And then I started with my podcasting, and it's something that I always wanted to do, but I knew that it wasn't about the podcast right now. So I put that on the back burner. And it was just always in the back of my mind. And then once I got the salon where we needed it and up and running pretty good and we're at a healthy spot, I just was like, why you, Megan? First, I'm the only podcaster here in Findlay as of, well, I see I'm getting all squirrely here. It doesn't matter. But I just would go back to your story and think, if she didn't push through it, I wouldn't even be here today. So I think about you a lot when I do things because your story resonated so much with me. And I'm not building anything technical. This is just for me personally to get my foot back into the salon and get me marketing. I'm not very good at marketing at all, like as far as like doing posts and stuff, but I love my salon more than anything. And I feel so passionate about it that I can talk about it all day and I can tell everyone that I know when they come in there, but that's not doable. So why not a podcast? So I've been able to take something that I'm very passionate about and get it out there. And it's again, thanks to you because of your story.
Thank you.
I'd
I
hug you. I'm not even a hugger.
Well, virtual hug, and then
Yes, yes,
eventually we'll have to meet up. But
yes.
I think it's very true to jump on those decisions, right? What do you have to lose? And I think that like sometimes stories are powerful, stories are passages for others, right? And I think that when you take those chances and those risks and you say yes to yourself, you're actually saying yes to someone that's just a few months, maybe years behind you that is sitting in that kind of should I do this? And so when you're loud about it and you push forward, that is exactly what you need to focus on when you want to give up or you're unsure is what impact am I missing out on by not saying yes? That's what you should say to yourself when you're in those moments.
Yes, thank you for that. Okay, there's so many things that I wanted to talk to you about. I feel like I'm like starstruck. Sorry. Wow. When you were developing Salon Scale and it was going through all the things, were you still working behind the chair, or when did you decide, whoa, I've got to like maybe take my time and put it more towards that?
Yeah, I think in that season of my life, I was still running a salon. So I had a 10-chair salon in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So I was running that full time. I also had I developed another company called Industry Salon Tools. And it was basically a premium hair tool distribution company. So I was selling hair tools across the country from my house. And then I started on the path of had the idea with SalonScale. So at one point in that season, I had all three companies. And I knew I needed to make some decisions. And especially with two little ones, I had two little ones at home. So it was a lot.
Yeah.
And so what I did was the first one was one of the three needed to go. So I knew that the distribution company, I ended up finding a buyer for that, sold the distribution company. So I learned the first steps of acquisition or selling your business, which then I applied into the salon next. I really wanted to keep the salon as long as I could because it really was almost like a lab for me. Like I could test new things, new features in the salon, but
Absolutely.
the focus. So what very quickly after launching SalonScale, I ended up raising capital. So I had raised about $1 million at that time. And once I took on outside investment, the investors really wanted my 100% focus. So
Yeah.
with me focusing on the business of SalonScale, I now knew with the salon, I was going to have to find a pathway out of it. And so I ended up approaching one of my senior staff. We went through everything, and then I ended up selling the salon to Nikki, who is still running Capelli Salon Studio today and taking it to a whole other level. But yeah, that was like in that season, I had all those things going on at the time. And those are all the things that I gave up too. These were like pathways and dreams of me growing Capelli across the country and getting different steps and progression in my career. But when Salon Scale came, I ended up having to take everything that I thought I was going to go and take a complete right turn and say yes to Salon Scale.
Wow. It probably was really hard, like you just said, to sell or get rid of on something that you were obviously making the money, but it's just those are your babies, right? Like you grew those but how awesome it was that you found a buyer and you were able to sell it to one of your coworkers. Like that to me is a dream. Like I think that would be so cool knowing that you're not selling it to somebody that's completely changing it around and making it, what did you say the name of it was?
Capelli Salon Studio.
Okay. So that she's doing things differently and always making it better, but it's still probably the same culture, the same vibe, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think when you start running a salon, you never think of the exit or the end game. You are just thinking of this is my business, it's going to keep growing and I think we think like the future it's going to pay in dividends or it's part of our legacy or our family. Maybe we'll pass it on to our children one day. I think we think that way, but businesses now they turn quick. It's very rare you're going to see a business open for 30 years now. I think the like
Right.
lifespan is more like 10 to 15 years really before they're turning a little bit quicker. And so I maybe was forced into thinking of selling it sooner just because of the new venture. But what a gift. I mean, most salons don't get the opportunity to sell their business for profit. And when I got to do that. And the big reason why I got to is also because the business had SalonScale in it.
Yeah.
And when we went to the bank for Nikki to acquire the salon, we were able to show those steady cash flows and projections because of the implementation of SalonScale. Like SalonScale actually would be able to pay down the loans needed to be able to pay out the investment of purchasing the business. And so it was a light bulb moment there, because not only was I now saying goodbye to Capelli and moving that in, but the information I needed when explaining that was exactly what I could apply to SalonScale and the salon owners that we're serving today.
Yes. That's so awesome. I see so many salons just like shutting their doors. And I almost feel guilty because I feel like I'm gatekeeping this information. That's why I just want to just get this out here, because if it changed our salon that much, it has to be changing other salons' lives. And for me, I'm gonna circle to me owning my salon. I have found that I am in a situation where I do not own our building. We lease, and we've been there 12 years, and I was like, I am not going to wait until a commercial building comes up, because in our area it just wouldn't happen. And so I knew that what I was building had to be bigger and better than what an actual standing building could be. So that's why, like with my podcasting, marketing myself, we're building an app for the salon. That way I have actual things that I can sell as Studio M and not a building, because I think a lot of times salon owners are like, I have a building, hey, but you actually have to have something. And I think especially in today, the way the salons are and the culture, it's building like stylists want that type of community in a salon. And if they can find it, they're not going to go anywhere. And for me, I feel like having salon scale, I know Brad says it's way more than that, but just if other salon owners are listening, you know that the girls are charging what you've bought as the owner. And if they want to shortchange themselves because Betty Sue's been a client for years, then that's fine, but we're still going to get what that is. And I think that, to me, as an owner wanting to sell someday, is big. And I've also realized that you can't say you're going to own your salon forever, because you have no idea what's there, and you need to be prepared for the next thing, and you have to have your systems in place. I would have never have done that 12 years ago, but I think 12 years ago, the industry didn't require what it does now as salon owners.
Yeah, I think the industry itself it's not set up to, as much as we want to see sustainable salons and see them grow and get acquired, it's not set up for that. It's actually set up for a high turnover structure. It's like that's how everything is in place, unfortunately. But we now have the most entrepreneurial industry ever. We have almost 80% of the industry is solopreneurs. So they're running their own chairs. And then the rest are all salon owners. So we have the most salon owners and operators than we've ever had. So now is where we're seeing a lot of people starting to look more into the business side and find that sustainability and find ways to grow and really dive into knowing what the business needs and where it's going to go. So I think that's a really good problem to have right now, is to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that the big thing to note is that I think the word profit is like, this kind of came up when we first started with SalonScale. The word profit was a very like uncomfortable word for a lot of salon owners, most of the times because they didn't really understand really what profit was. And when we would say understanding your profit, you have to understand what you're bringing in versus what your expenses are, and then whatever is left at the end. And so there was a lot of disconnect just in financial literacy of like cash flow to profit to like, these are completely different things. And so when building SalonScale, as well as the messaging towards it, we just simply made the most simplest tool to understand what profit is in real time. And that is like the secret to the app and our company is how do we simplify finance so that we don't intimidate customers, that we don't make people think that they don't know these things, but they know them in the most simplest way that
Right,
makes sense
right.
to us. And so that's essentially really where the kind of fabric came into like growing the business and where we'll continue to go. Cause I think that helps support creative artists all around there
Definitely.
that are working hard behind their chair.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Do you miss working behind the chair?
I have moments. I think the one thing I miss the atmosphere. I miss just the vibe of just being around a bunch of people, creating work and making people feel amazing.
So,
I
like,
miss
what they look like now, like today versus a hairstylist?
Oh my goodness, it's like completely opposite because
Yeah,
now I work remotely. So I'm generally usually at my home office or traveling. My day is generally packed with a ton of meetings. So I'll go meeting to meeting and then I analyze anything from, I'm constantly on spreadsheets, constantly doing assumptions and putting together proposals or different ways to figure out what's the next steps for us to go. But it is
like
completely
that. Do you
different.
love that part of it?
You know what? I absolutely do. And I think being behind the chair and especially through customers, you had to learn how to communicate with
Right,
many
yeah.
different types of customers. So that helped me with running a tech company because I learned how to communicate the developers and anyone that's building our product is like I'm able to translate it or understand and feedback there. Marketing one wing, sales the other, and customer success. And so the big thing that happened is when I ran the salon, I had 8 stylists at the time. So I was running, it's like one division. I ran basically a sales and success team as a salon that we're all doing the same thing. Now what's changed is I run division. So I have a sales team, a marketing team, I have customer success and
Yeah.
technology. So with those divisions came different ways of running them.
Mhm.
And yeah, I feel every day I'm learning. I think every day is always challenging, but it's always honestly, I'm grateful every day that I get to do this.
Yes. Now, when you say you're, like, on calls all day, does that mean you're talking to other salon owners? Are you or does it just depend? Because I just know what it's like when my next client comes or whatever.
I will be meeting with all of our leaders. So usually leadership teams, any department leaders that are running those divisions, I'll have meetings through the week to see where they're at. If there's any issues or whatever is going on or any approvals needed to be done, we'll go through those. The next one, I sit in a bucket of strategic partnerships. So for me, yes, that's where the negotiation and the networking comes from. So
Okay.
I'll be speaking with different integration partners. Maybe there's organizations that we can partner with. So really just having those conversations of how these companies can fit together to put together some proposals there. And then the last bucket, I have a board and a board of directors that I have to report to. So generally that's where I'm going to be doing more the business, basically looking into the projections, what's going on with the business, looking at how to communicate that to where we're going to go and set goals for the team and go from there.
Wow. Do you ever j you've it's been 8 years, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Do you just wake up and be like, "This is my life. Wow."
I honestly
I can
do.
barely imagine.
I do. I think and also just to communicate back to the missing the salon, like, I miss the salon, and I think the one thing for me is one thing about me, I was a very creative artist, so I would do lots of photo shoots, lots of competition work, lots of editorial work, and I was known for doing that. I've won several awards for being editorial stylist, and that part I really miss because I could express myself doing a photo shoot and it felt so incredible. And I got the privilege of doing a few collections within SalonScale. So I got to actually do the hair for some of the shoots that we were doing. So there's parts where I interject it so that I can still get back to those roots to express that as well.
Yeah, that's so fun. So, this is just me being me, but I just have to ask you, so, like, you've been on a lot of different podcasts, a lot of people, like, that I'm sure you idolized, right? Like, before you got famous. were you like, I don't know, just tell me about it. Was it
I like one name comes to the top of my mind. I remember the first time it was COVID, and that was where we were really communicating, helping, growing into the community. But I got on a call with Nick Arojo, and it was just him and I having this conversation. And at one point I had a moment where I'm like, holy shit, like I'm on a call with Nick Arojo. This is just wild.
Yes.
And that was one of those moments. From there, I met several very well-known business leaders, influencers, meeting the
Jason
presidents.
Everett, I know that one. I listened to him.
And yes, and not just these, not only the education leaders or the industry known celebrities was I communicating with, but I was on calls with the presidents of Salon Centric and Cosmoprof and like some of the most business influential folks there is, which is wild. And so to get that opportunity I have to pinch myself sometimes to think, what I went from a small town, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, built an app, and now I'm talking to these internationally renowned individuals to bring technology to all of
And
us.
now I can say that
Yeah.
because little me from Findlay, Ohio, and I'm like talking to you. That's so cool. And and then so I almost feel like I'm talking to Salon Centric as well in Cosmoprof because it's like we have that connection and it's just crazy. It's I was telling Ashley, when you're so passionate about something and you just love something so much and you can feel it inside, you just know you're doing the right thing. Whether the outcome comes the way you want it or not, as long as you feel that passion inside. So I'm fifth, it doesn't matter how old I am, but I'm leading into the second part of my life. And I just love where this industry has taken me. I stepped away about a year ago from doing nails and it's the best decision. And I love my salon more now today than I did when I was actually a service provider. And I really believe that you cannot be a true leader, especially in today's industry, working behind the chair.
It's it it takes a toll, right? It takes a toll, and it's a component of the business, but that's working in it, not on it. And when
Right?
you get that freedom of working on your business and having your business work for you instead of you working for your business or being stuck in it, it is a very freedom kind of feeling. But I also feel like there's a uncomfortableness in growing. They say growth is at the edge of your comfort zone. So it's like when you're feeling uncomfortable, you're growing. And a lot of that time for a really busy stylist or busy behind the chair or even in spa side, anything that you're doing, when you start to take that chance to work on your business and in it, there's a lot of open time because now you're not servicing the clients. So there's almost a, what should I be doing? There's like a, what do I need to do there? And so when you start to fill that time up with getting great advisors, finding people that are like that have scaled multiple locations and schedule like a weekly chat with someone like that, to weeks where you're focusing on certain parts or components of the business and breaking down your metrics and figuring out those kinds of things. Eventually those fill up and you now are running that business and it's completely different than before. But what you do get is you get your time back. And I think after so many years of giving to your clients and your teams, it's really nice to get your business to a place where it starts giving back to you as that founder and as that leader of the business.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's also very easy to work as hard as you do or as some do when you love what you do. And I was just getting to the point where everything was coming on top of me and I was treating my clients and they love me and I've been doing them for years. So I'd be like, seriously, would you just pick your color and let's go? And we'd laugh, but I'd be like, that's not who I am. I lost who I was as a nail tech. And then I was like, I've been a nail tech for 30 years. I don't want to be a nail tech anymore. I want to run my business. And I am learning how to time manage now. I have a long way to go, but a lot of the things that I told the girls that I would do, I've been able to do in a timely manner. And it just feels so good. I just love it. And again, I have to bring it back to you. It sounds so silly, but it really does come back to the salon scale. And your grit and grind, and you didn't say no. You knew that this is what we needed
I think there's
so much.
many times I could have gave in and stopped. I think that is one of those things that kind of goes back to what you're saying, where when you have a lot of passion, you need a lot of passion. You need to love your why and what you're doing, because that's what creates the culture of the business. So all of our salon scalers, we call it the salon scalers team, they are also fueled by that passion of why we do what we do, which gives you the energy to sustain, because you're going to have a lot of highs, but you're also going to have probably even more lows. And so when you go through those moments and those ebbs and flows in your business, if you don't have that why or that passion, eventually it's gonna erode, or it's gonna be time for a change. And similar to you saying it's time to leave being a nail tech, it's eventually after a while, it's like my passion lies in the business or the next
Yes,
expansion of me. And so it's okay to course correct. It's okay to say it's time for something else, but to make something as impactful as Salon Scale takes a tremendous amount of passion, a tremendous amount of why. And that's the secret to continuing to fight and get through every storm and celebrate with everyone.
absolutely. One thing our tagline is make it happen. That's something that it's very means a lot to me. And I would like to ask you, what's one thing recently that you made happen?
Oh, geez.
I know.
It
And it doesn't even have to be in the salon world. Maybe you went made it to church or something on Sunday. I don't know.
Yeah, I think one thing that I made happen was we just realigned our strategy, our focus, and our leadership team. And I developed this new kind of structure within the business, setting up like divisions of an acquisition team and an activation team. So I thought beyond how to grow the business into these two ways. And I launched the teams, got everybody up and running on it, and just made it happen and started to push that forward, which was super fun. Is a great way to change up the structure and go from there.
Awesome. I'm going to ask one more question. You do thousands of like interviews, podcasts, and stuff. What's the one question that you wish people would ask you that maybe there's something about you that doesn't normally get asked that maybe somebody would need to know?
What a good question. I think just more around just me as an individual, and not necessarily just me as the salon owner or the things that I've done within the business or raising cat, but my mindset. I think that's the question. Is I think out of anything, what people should know about me is I'm extremely resilient and fearless. And my internal self-confidence is like a 12 out of 10. So I am harder on myself than anybody else. But that kind of is the thing that fuels me, that gives me the grit, that gets me to the next step. And that truly is the thing that's made me the most successful, is my internal mind and my internal process to be able to trust myself and my instincts and go from there.
I love that. It definitely shows. It really does. Oh, thank you so much for coming on here. You made my
Thanks.
day. And it's so nice meeting you, and I'm hoping someday I get to actually touch you.
No, I absolutely cannot wait to meet you again. And thank you so much for your time and inviting me on your podcast. And I just want to thank you again for all the lovely comments, and hearing about your success just means the world to me.
Awesome. Alrighty. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.